Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today, we're going to be doing that 2024 market update. So we're going to talk about where the market is headed as we get into 2024. So as we hit the new year and just get deeper into the game. So if you haven't gotten started yet, or even if you've gotten started and you've been looking for tips and tricks for how to execute at the next level as we get to the next year, make sure you stay tapped in, ask lots of questions, drop your questions, comments in the chat section so that we can get your questions answered as efficiently as possible. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. And remember, guys, we have some events coming up. The ride along, my real estate ride along, where I take you guys on a tour of Philly. We see projects that I'm actively rehabbing right now. We walk through properties, inspect them together, put together rehab budget, show you the cost of construction, how to do full gut renovations, how to make money in this game. If you want to have that experience, spend a day with me, boots on the ground, really seeing a full operation. That next ride along is January 13th. It's the second Saturday of the new year. So make sure you tap into that. We have very limited seating. Just click the links in the description to tap in, text me, reach out, book a call, but reserve your seat for that if that's something that you want to do, if you want to have that experience. So, guys, once again, drop your chats, drop your questions, and we're just going to flow through this market update. As always, we start off with a little bit of mindset. The mindset this week is going to be in the form of kind of a question. This is a question. I mean, you guys know I talk to hundreds of people who are looking for one-on-one real estate mentorship kind of every month. And I get similar questions from you guys. You guys are, all good people, smart people. And a lot of us will suffer from the same fears, doubts, or roadblocks. Like, I don't have a lot of cash saved, or I don't, my credit is bad. What do I do here? There's like a lot of common questions. But one thing is, I get this from a lot of new investors. I want financial freedom through real estate, but I don't know who to trust. What should I do? What should I do next? Like, a lot of us are just stuck in that fear mode where we're afraid that we're going to get burned by contractors, but we're also afraid that we're going to get burned by a mentor. We're going to get burned by a guru. We're going to get burned by somebody. And if you're stuck in that headspace, it can be debilitating to a degree because you don't know who to trust. And people ask me this, Brian, how do I know who to trust? There's so many people out here. There's so much information out here. And it's kind of the opposite of when I got started. When I got started in this, there weren't really enough mentors out there. There weren't enough people out there that could break down this game for you or had programs set up to tap into, or else I would have made the $1 million of mistakes that I made in this game. I wouldn't have had to, because I would have just got straight to the mentorship and been done. But how do I know who to trust? What should I do? One, you have to trust your own intuition. You have to trust your gut feeling when somebody's trying to educate you about real estate, or somebody's telling you something about real estate. If they're standing in front of a Lamborghini, they're hopping off a private jet, and they're doing kind of all this extra stuff, and your gut feeling is telling you, this seems phony, this doesn't seem legitimate, then go with your gut. If somebody is educating you and you're like, hey, this makes a lot of sense from a logic standpoint, because real estate is kind of a math-based process. The numbers make sense. Everything adds up. It's logic-based. If that logic is clicking and the math is mathing, and you're like, hey, this makes sense, I think I could actually execute on this, go with your gut. Listen to yourself. The person to trust is you. And what you need to focus on is your education. You need to focus on educating yourself about real estate, because once you become educated, you don't have to trust anyone. If you become educated at the level that I am at, and our masterclass students are at, our VIP people who I get to work one-on-one with, we get there at various points, but I get everybody there. When you become educated, you don't even trust the news. You could read CNBC and be like, that guy's full of it. And it'll be like some analyst who works for Redfin, right? And you're just like, nah, I disagree because of XYZ. When you become a free thinking investor, you don't have to worry about trusting anyone. And I want you guys to get to that point. So the answer is, well, who do I trust? Trust you, trust your gut, trust your intuition. Everybody has it, and you can trust it, especially when it comes to real estate, because it's what I found is in real estate, your gut is right almost 100% of the time. Even when it's telling you, I don't like this contractor, I feel like they're burning me, they probably are. You don't have to go out and make mistakes from the school of hard knocks. Mentorship will save you a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of sorrow. So don't feel like I can't trust anybody. Therefore, I'm going to go out and get burned by the school of hard knocks until I figure this out. That's silly. Trust knowledge of real estate. Go get the knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, you don't have to trust people because you'll just have knowing. You will know how to structure deals, how to analyze deals, how to put numbers together, how to build rehab budgets. And once you know all of these things, you don't need to trust anyone. You can just trust the game, trust the numbers, trust the math, and then you'll be able to accelerate. So if you feel stuck because you want financial freedom, but you just don't know who to trust to kind of bridge that gap or get you there, it's not even about your roadblocks. You can have cash, no credit roadblocks. Guess what? You're not some unicorn. You're not unique. So many people suffer from that, and there's solutions for that. It's no big deal, realistically, in real estate. The more educated you get, the less money you need to invest in real estate, less capital. That's the maybe open secret of the industry is the guys that are at the top, they use very little cash to a degree where, at times they use no cash. And it's just all knowledge and deal structuring. But you can get there one step at a time, but you need to tap into knowledge first, not going out and getting burned or trying to trust contractors or different things without knowledge. Now you're just going on faith. And to trust, you would have to be like blind, essentially. You'd have no knowledge. You'd have to be blind to all the facts. So guys, let's get into this market update. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat section and we'll kind of keep flowing through this thing. But we got some good stuff here. Let me tap us in. So people are always asking about, Brian, what's the market going to do? What is the Fed going to do? Are rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? We know this has been a tough year on real estate. Like a lot has happened in regards to interest rates. Rates have gone way through the roof. They've doubled essentially over the course of time. And they're on the path to going back down. And I want you guys to look at this because I was even reading an article today and an analyst was saying like, oh, I don't know if the Fed is going to be agreeable to rate cuts. And then other people are talking about kind of this type of stuff, what the Fed is actually going to be doing. And it just goes to show that even some of these analysts who are out here predicting what real estate is going to do, they don't do all their research. They don't really know what's going on. You have to. One other thing I'll say before we get through all of this news is you have to understand who the writer of the article is or what their position in the industry is. So if you are reading news and it's from a realtor group, well, realtors are going to be pretty negative on the market right now because sales are lower. People are buying and selling less. So they're making less commissions. And then there's attack on realtor commissions. So their sentiment overall is going to be negative on the industry or overly optimistic because they want it to be better than it is now. If you're talking to mortgage brokers, same thing. Mortgages are like brokerage fees way down. A lot of people in that mortgage brokerage industry, they're getting wiped out of the industry right now. So if you're listening to their news, it's all doom and gloom because that's what they're experiencing within their little bubble, within their little mortgage broker bubble. We're not mortgage brokers. We're not realtors here. We're real estate investors. We don't live in any of the little bubbles, but we do need to understand them and navigate them. But just understand who's writing that news because it's going to tell you kind of their bias and you'll start to see it in these articles at times. And it'll allow you to just have a better vision overall. So the Fed will likely cut interest rates 4 times next year is this big businessinsider.com article. 4 times next year as the economy remains resilient. This would be clearly good for rates if they start to do some cutting a bit. Let's read just a little bit more about some of these forecasts. So here's one from Barclays, an analyst at Barclays. The Fed is, let me blow this up a little bit for us and scroll this up. The Fed the Fed forecast is forecast to begin a significant easing cycle, which easing is a really good word that we want to hear as a lot of us are buy and hold real estate investors. We want to build portfolios of cash flow. During times of easing, rates are going down, cash is flooding into the market, meaning lenders are lending a lot, like money is circulating a lot. This is good for you as a new investor or as an existing investor with relationships. But we're expected to begin to see a significant easing cycle in the second quarter of 24. So that's coming up really soon. Markets are more aggressive relative to econ consensus, delivering 100 basis point cuts in 2024, another 100 basis points in 2025, and more in 2026. 100 basis points is 1%. That's just kind of economics talk, we'll call it, or just financial talk. They'll call it basis points. 50 basis points is 0.5%. 25 basis points is 0.25%. This is just terminology that you should become more familiar with. But they're projecting a point next year, 1% next year, another 1% cut in 2025, and then more in 2026. So that's a steady rate of 2.75 to 3%, according to Barclays. Let's see what some other people are saying. People at ING have predicted the Fed will deliver 6 rate cuts next year. So they're projecting even more rate cuts next year, which would be like 150 basis points. The projection is that every time the Fed cuts rates, they're going to do it by 0.25%. When they were increasing rates, as of recent, they were doing it by about 75 basis points, 0.75% each time. And then they cut it down to 0.5%, then they flatlined, and they've been pretty much flat for the last several months. And now we're projecting these cuts that will start to happen next year. As these cuts happen, it's going to be good for you because it's going to start to reduce mortgage rates. And I'll get into that. UBS sees even more aggressive cuts. So it seems like they're just getting more and more aggressive, depending on who you talk to. Saying slow economic growth would drive the Fed to cut rates by 275 basis points, almost 3% by the end of 2024. If they do that, rates will probably fall back into what I would call like the mid to high fives, 5.5%, 5.75%. And when rates hit that range, everything's cash flowing. That's all I can tell you is in these top cash flow markets, Philly, Detroit, Baltimore, Jersey, a lot of these markets, Raleigh and the North Carolina markets and South Carolina and Charleston and Dallas, Fort Worth, and kind of all the way out in Texas. Like these markets are going to cash flow at 5.75. Bottom line, all of them. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines, you guys know how I feel about the sidelines. It's never good to sit on the sidelines when it comes to real estate. But this is a window. This is a short gap of a window for you to get in and get some deals before, as my guy's saying here, prices will go up. Prices are going to go up. If rate cuts happen this quickly, prices are going to go through the roof. I'd say once mortgage rates go below 7% and they get back into the 6s, which is projected to happen by Q2 of next year, or getting into Q3 of next year, prices are going to start shooting way back up. So if this happens, if everybody's right and this happens in Q2, if we're thinking about this logically, by the second quarter, you're talking about Q1 ends in March. So you're talking about peak sales season, spring, summer season, Q2, Q3, rates are going down rapidly. The Fed's on the news doing their about face. Hey, we're easing. Everything's working. We've curbed inflation. We beat it. When that happens, a lot of people are going to jump back into the market. And we're going to talk about some reasons why we're projecting kind of like a tidal wave of people that are going to jump back in. Jacqueline said, prices are already too high. Yeah, they are high. So right now you're in a window where a lot of the market participants have just sidelined themselves. They've been beaten into submission. They're not watching the news. They're not watching this live. They're not paying attention. So they're not focused on rates and prices right now. So this is a time where you can come in as an investor and negotiate really hard against sellers. Some of the people in the Boots on the Ground program know deals are coming back on market. Sellers are saying we're not taking less than XYZ, and they're just sitting on the market. Like they're not able to sell these shells at the prices that they want to. So we're just letting them sit for a couple weeks and then coming back to them and offer them less money and get those deals under contract. So it's a good time to jump into the game in this season of the market. And this is your window. If you've been looking for a way to get in, right now is the best time to get in, negotiate a deal, get something under contract, and start working on a deal. If you're going to do a flip, it's a good time to work on a deal because it'll be ready by the spring season. And as rates go down and prices go up, you can ride that momentum. Somebody's going to get that timing right and ride that wave into an extra 30, 40,000 on a flip. And it's just going to put you in a position to win. If you sit on the sidelines, you're just going to wait yourself out of the game. Then prices are going to get to a level where you're still not able to afford it, unfortunately. So make sure you stay tapped into to that information, guys. If you have any questions, comments, anything at all about real estate, just drop them and we'll address them as they come in. Let's talk about. I think that's pretty much that on that. Let's talk about mortgage rates and how that kind of ties in, because just because the Fed is cutting their rates, it doesn't necessarily mean that the mortgage rates are going to adjust rapidly. They will adjust fairly quickly, but it's not like a dollar for dollar type of adjustment. Like they cut it 1% and then your mortgage rate goes down 1%. They will go down with some type of correlation, but this is going to get you more into those numbers of what you can expect in terms of where mortgages will be at. So this was a interview of just like a couple licensed people within the industry and their thoughts on it. CBSnews.com. While rates might be roughly in line with current levels at the start of next year, give or take a little, some experts predict a more substantive drop throughout 2024. This person says, I personally see mortgage rates coming down into the mid sixes by the second quarter. So by Q2 of 2024. And ending up in the lower sixes or high fives, what I was talking about, 5.75, 5.85 by the end of the year. That's where you're going to start to cash flow. So this is why it even makes sense if you're doing deals right now or looking to do deals to get on those annual renewable mortgages or get on some type of a non-fixed, like you don't want to be on a 30-year fixed mortgage right now. You want to be on something a little shorter term so that you have the flexibility to just refinance out into these lower rates as they hit next year. I was also talking to somebody earlier today who's asking me, should he refinance out of a property that he owns mostly cash? And I'm like, no, just try to get a line of credit on it because you don't want to lock in that refinance until rates go down. So there's definitely going to be some market timing going on for a lot of us as we get into 2024 and start to get this thing done. Factors to keep in mind, there's the consumer price index. I mean, a lot of things could change between now and Q2 of 2024. We don't know, what exactly is going to happen within this marketplace, within this game. I mean, maybe inflation starts to increase a bit and the Fed takes their foot off the gas on rate cuts. You just kind of have to stay in the game and play it out. One thing we do know is rates are going to go down. One thing that you need to keep in mind in terms of rates going down is that the average, I believe somewhere between 70 to 80% of all mortgage holders have a rate in the United States, have a rate that is 5% or in that 5% range or below. So where the tidal wave is going to come in is if rates tick back to that point. So let's say 50%. 50% of the market has a rate below 5.75 or at or below. So once rates tick back down to that range, 5.75, and then that 1 week they go to 5.65, tidal wave. Everybody's jumping back in. Tidal wave. You don't want to be waiting for that tidal wave to try to learn about the game, to try to figure it out or have a strategy or have contractors and have lenders and have relationships. You want to be already in and actively pursuing deals so that when the market adjusts, it'll just naturally connect for you. Even if it's not on your first deal, on your next deal, it will happen. So you just want to be in this game and kind of waiting for some of the best opportunities. Um, Here's a question, and it is off the path, but still a good question. How do we know when our pay structure for contractors needs to be adjusted accordingly? Um, I'm assuming you're talking about like if you're doing a deal with contractors and maybe things aren't going right. Maybe expound upon that question. Things aren't going right. Is there a right way to pay contractors? One, you don't want to put down more than a 10% deposit with any contractor, or there's a strong chance they're going to run away with your money. It's just too much money to be putting down. You don't want to be putting down 25, 30%. It's just not a smart way to do business, and it's not industry standard. 10% is more of an industry standard type of a deposit. And the reason why is you want to work with contractors who also have some capital. You don't want to work with like a broke contractor who is just living paycheck to paycheck themselves, because they're going to take the money that you're giving them, and instead of buying materials, they're going to pay their rent, they're going to pay their past due bills, they're going to bet on the Eagles game. They're going to do everything with that money because they're bad at managing money. And then when it comes around to your job, they're going to have to go find somebody else to put down a 30% deposit so that they can take some of their money and do some of your job. And it's just going to be a nightmare situation. But whenever dealing with contractors, you always want to um, the question is, when it comes to their paying them for their specific expertise. Whenever it comes to contractors, you always want to control the money as much as possible. Buy the materials yourself, pay for the cost of labor if possible. And part of that is understanding the cost of labor and the cost of construction and the cost of materials. That's a reason to get mentorship and tap into something like the 100 Keys Masterclass, so that I can work with you one on one and break down that information for you so that you just have clarity and you know what you're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing or how to build that budget, these guys are sharks. It's almost like the animal kingdom. Like they can smell the lack of knowledge on you. Like they can sniff it out, and they're just like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm gonna burn him. I mean, especially if they're in a rut, they just look at you and they're like, that there goes a goose. I'm gonna burn him. Like it is what it is. I'm gonna take the money. I gotta eat, and you're just gonna be what's for dinner um, that month, or whatever. And you just don't want to be in that situation. When it comes to paying them for their expertise, you just need to know the different cost breakdowns for different levels. So the guy who comes in and does your demolition does not get paid what the plumber gets paid, what the licensed plumber or the licensed electrician. The licensed guy gets paid more than the non-licensed guy. The guy with his own materials and his own tools gets paid more than the guy without their own materials and tools. So you just have to understand the difference, and you have to be able to um, interview these contractors like a pro. Like I actually built out a session, a breakout session in the 100 Keys Masterclass, or VIP course content, that gives you my top interview questions for contractors. So if I didn't know a contractor from Adam and I'm interviewing them, I asked them these questions. I gave the exact questions, the sequence I asked them in, and the answers I'm looking for, and why. And going through that process is how you're going to get to the next level. You need to learn how to interview people at a professional level. It's just like if you went to work at an auto body shop, guess what? They're going to ask you a series of questions to test your knowledge, to test your skill set. And if you answer those questions in an odd way, they're going to know you don't know what you're doing. It's the same thing here. So you just need to understand what those questions are and how to ask them, and what type of answers you should be getting and what type of answers you shouldn't be getting. And once you know that information, you become more or less bulletproof with your process. Like you'll be able to execute. You'll be able to pick the good contractors out of the bunch, and then just never even hire the bad people. And that is the ultimate goal, is to never deal with the bad contractors at all. You'll scare them away um, with your questions. Um, Come Clean said this mentorship is worth its weight in gold and keeping us from getting burned. Facts. Just keeps you from getting burned. If you can just not get burned in this game, think about it. I got burned. I'm not shy about it. I got burned for 40, $50,000, and that was just on one transaction with one contractor. I've lost over $1 million in this game but I've made it. I made more. I made it back. So it's like you can experience a lot of losses and get knowledge, but imagine if I didn't lose that 50 grand, if I didn't lose that $1 million in mistakes, and I could take that and just apply it back to the game. How much faster can you get ahead? That's why, people can get in and get faster results than even I got when I was getting started, like way faster, 10 times faster, because you're avoiding all of the pitfalls. And that's just being smart, guys, for you guys. Like, that's just being smart for yourself and treating yourself fairly. You invest in mentorship for you, never for the mentor, or some people call you a guru. Like, I try to stay away from that word. I'm not a guru. Um, I am a mentor. I'm a real estate mentor, but I'm not a guru in that sense. I don't stand in front of when I think of guru, I think of like some guy standing in front of a private jet or a Lamborghini or something. And it's just not my style. Um, but yeah, that is something that you want to do is just learn how to not get burned. And a big part of that is dealing with contractors. A big part of that is having the right education and knowing what questions to ask and how to present yourself. So you want to get educated for so many reasons. One is to do deal analysis and just be smarter about the game. Two is so you know the terminology. Just by nature of the way you talk, contractors know that you know what you're talking about, and therefore back off. And it happens fast. Many people have told me they got into the mentorship program and they were running within a circle of real estate investors. But a lot of people are like this. They have buddies who are in real estate and they try to go to their friends, hey, can you teach me? And they're like, look, I'm too busy. I don't really do that. Um, I could throw you some contractors or something, but I don't got time for that. So they kind of stay lost, and then they'll eventually find somebody like me. They'll get into the mentorship program. I'll educate them, and then they go back to those friends, and the friends are like, whoa, how did you start talking like this? Like, they don't even recognize them anymore because they leveled up in like 30 days of just being around me, the course content, and staying really locked into this game. So you can do that and you can leapfrog. Even somebody who you're like, hey, they got 20 deals, they're knocking it out of the park. You could leapfrog them in 2 years. You could pop up with 50 deals in 2 years. They'll be at 30, 31, and you'll just be past them. And they'll be like, yo, how did you do that? Oh, I just tapped into the knowledge. So there are no good investors. They're just people who know and people who don't. So you need to do whatever you can to become a person who knows and stop being afraid of knowledge. Be afraid of everything else. Do not be afraid of knowledge. Knowledge is not going to hurt you. And don't be afraid to invest in your education because, quite frankly, this money that we hang on to is not it's not worth more than knowledge of money. Money is never worth more than knowledge of how to make more money. It's just not. You'll spend it on nothing. It'll go away anyway. And if you don't make your money work for you, you're just going to spend it and consume it. It's literally worthless unless you can put it into things that make you more money, like real estate and like other assets. So you just have to stay locked in mentally on this stuff and get out of your own way. If you are your biggest hurdle, which many of us are, most of us are our own roadblock, get out of your own way, get educated, learn some new strategies, and you will make back your money on your investment in mentorship. Your investment in mentorship is minuscule. If I was able to make back $50,000 loss here, 100K loss here, if I'm able to make that back, the cost of mentorship is peanuts compared to that. And it will teach you how to avoid all of those mistakes that you are going to make. There's only two questions for most of us. One, are you going to invest in real estate? These are two questions to ask yourself. One, are you going to invest in real estate? Not are you going to learn about it? Are you going to think about it? Are you going to sleep on it? Are you going to pray on it? Are you going to talk to your buddy about it? Forget all of that. Are you going to do it? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to do this come hell or high water? Like, like I'm doing it. I don't care. It's going down because I can't stay stuck in this 9 to 5 because life's too short because I got to spend more time with my kids, whatever your reason is, whatever your motivation. And once you know you're going to do this for a fact, then you have the second question, which is, am I going to go out and get burned by the school of hard knocks to figure this out? Or am I going to invest in my education? That's your next question. Because those are your two options. You are not going to run out in the School of Hard Knocks without the education and just figure it out with no pain. That's La La Land. That's like Wizard of Oz level. Like that should be on a TV show or a big screen. It's a movie. It's a fantasy. It's not real. Are you going to invest in your education to avoid the pitfalls, or do you want to get that pain? Do you like to learn from that type of pain? Those are the two questions you should ask yourself and answer for yourself, and then act accordingly. Some people like to get hurt, and they learn from the School of Hard Knocks better. So go out and get hurt. But if you don't like that, if you don't want to be in pain, if you don't want your wife to be looking at you sideways, like, why'd you do that? What were you thinking? Then go out and invest in your education. Get yourself together. Um, Jacqueline said, "How would you know their personal financial standing?" You ask them. But you know, based on this is for a contractor, like why they shouldn't even need more than 10% down because they should have some money. They're running a business. If they're running a business with no money, that's bad. That's kind of bad in this game because that means they can't even buy materials. They can't handle anything. They can't handle running this business. This is a capital intensive business. So you can't be a general contractor out here running around with subs and materials and trucks and all of the things that come with this game and not have any capital in the bank. You can live paycheck to paycheck as an employee. That's fine. That's fine if that's what you want to do. You can't do that as a contractor. I'm just paycheck to paycheck. I don't have enough money to buy my own tools. I can't afford my car note. They're not going to be reliable because they're living at a level where they're not a reliable person. Like they're too close to the edge. They're too incentivized to burn you because they're too hungry. They're too greedy for the money. Whereas a contractor who's more successful, he might have 150,000 in the bank, and he's just like, yeah, I'll get the job done. He could float the subcontractors for a month or two, and just pay them, and then recover the money in an invoice. There's a different energy there, and there's less incentive to burn because they're already successful, so they have a reputation that matters now. The guy who has no success and no money, what does he care? He has no reputation. He has nothing. So, and he's going to give you that cheap price where you get burned. So, you ask them, but even more than asking them, you vet them. If you have no tools and you have no truck, you have no money. Period. If you had money, you'd have tools and a truck, and you would look it, and it would be kind of oozing out of their energy essentially in the interview process. But if you don't know that interview process, then you got to tap into you got to tap in, or just for those who are already in, watch the section of the 100 Keys Masterclass that focuses on a contractor interview questions. It's a very important piece of the puzzle. Very important. Like without that, you cannot scale effectively without that. Arlene says facts. Jubert says absolutely. When developing a private relationship with a lender to extend a line of credit to not disturb cheap debt on a sub 2 deal, is that considered subject 3? Not quite. Um, Subject 3 is where you do a subject 2 deal, but you never pull any money out of pocket at all because you have the systems in place to move so fast through that deal that you essentially get the deal under contract and then close and do everything with other people's money. Like you correct the past due debt, you put down the deposit, like everything with somebody else's money because you're so fast. Because you're just so fast at your systems. And there's a system to subject 3. Maybe we'll break down a session. It won't be the next session because I really need to prepare for subject 3. I may just do that purely for the masterclass, actually. Subject 3 is so powerful that that we're going to reserve for the VIP students. And the people, the people in the group course will get access to that too. So anybody who's in one of the mentorship courses will get that. I'll make sure that that's uploaded in, but it won't be a YouTube live. That level of game deserves to be behind a closed door with a watchdog. But subject 3 is serious business. but it's not serious business in terms of deal structuring. It is more systems based. You need a system that is so fast at finding the end user of the property, because you're not going to live in the subject to typically. You're going to find somebody to rent to own it. So you need a system that's so fast at bringing those rent to owners to the property, that you never put a dollar into it. You never put any money into it. And very few people know anything about Subject 3. They've never heard about it. You only hear the Subject 2 and the Sub 2 guys out there running around. But very few people have heard anything about Subject 3. You can try to Google it. I implore you to go Google Subject 3, and you pretty much won't find anything. You won't find anything out there that makes any sense. And you'll be digging through blogs. But it's very powerful, and I'll break it down for you guys and give you the system that will allow you to move at that speed. It's just a system. There's no magic to it, but the system itself is fairly ingenious. And no, I did not create it. I did not create the system, but who cares? It works. I don't need to create things for them to work. Neither do you, more importantly, which is why this game is great. We just need to learn the systems and then implement them. And we can all make money. And that's what this is about. Would it be safe to say, since we have many people sitting on the sidelines, since interest rates are higher, would you pay your contractors less per day, supply and demand? It depends. Like, that's more of like a COVID thing, because it's not that contractors are sidelined right now. Work is being done. Mom and pop buyers are sitting on the sidelines. People who are looking to buy their first house, millennials, those people are priced out and sitting on the sidelines. It's not the investors that are sitting on the sidelines. The diehard investors are eating everybody's lunch right now. They're out making their money and doing their thing, and they don't care what's going on. And the contractors that are worth their weight, they're working. The ones that are good contractors, they're working right now. So it's not really a position where you can pay them less, especially not in an inflated marketplace. People are getting paid more. For COVID, when COVID first hit and the industry shut down, like they're just like, yo, you can't do real estate, you can't do commercial, all the job sites are shut down until we figure this thing out. Then people were on the sidelines. Then there was a surplus of workers from a supply demand standpoint. Then you could pay people less, because it was like, hey, you can come work for me, or you can sit on your couch and not make any money for who knows how long. And they had no choice. So it's a little bit different. So it's not at a bad rate like right now. These guys can get paid, what they're worth, $250 a day. And that all gets passed on basically to the seller. This is why sellers have to adjust, because like I've been looking at this one deal, my realtor just sent it to me. And that's another thing, guys. You don't have to be licensed to do this. So many people had that question. Do I have to have a license to be a real estate investor? Well, I bought over 300 properties without a license. So no, you don't. You don't need a license. In many ways, a license is a distraction. The license is only a tool to cut down on your fees and maybe open doors faster as you scale, if you need that. And if you don't have like an attorney on staff or somebody else who can serve within a placeholder for a licensee. There's many reasons why you don't want a license as well, because it holds you to stricter requirements, especially if you're doing creative financing and some of these things, subject to all of those things. So there's a lot of pros and cons. You don't need a license. So hopefully that answers some of that. I got off on a little bit of a tangent, but maybe I'll come back to it. True. My brother told me that a few days ago. Good. Seeking recommendations from friends, family, or colleagues who have undergone similar renovation projects. Personal referrals provide insights into a contractor's work quality. Definitely, go and see their work. Pull up on them. You want to see a contractor? Hey, where you at? Call them. What are you working on right now? Oh, really? That's right around the corner. I'm going to swing by in 10 minutes and just pull up on them. See their work. Talk to the owner of that project. Sometimes you can get a game run on you. I mean, definitely personal referrals, but not everybody has that. Most people don't have that, in fact. But sometimes you will get the guy, like you might ask for, hey, show me some of your projects, right? And then they start sending you pictures, and it's not their work. This might be the guy who's the freaking helper. All he does is hold the paintbrush, for the master painter, and he'll send the pictures of the final product like he painted it, and he didn't paint any of it. So you have to be careful with that. You're actually going to learn more from interviewing the actual contractor and asking the right questions than you will even from looking at pictures of their work. That's like the ultimate level of this game. I could have my eyes closed and be on the phone just talking to him like, so how long is it going to take to paint the house? What type of paint are you going to use? You have your own tools. How many guys are you going to use? How many helpers and how many skilled guys? I'm just asking them the right questions. And they know from these questions that I know what I'm talking about. And if they say the wrong answer, I'm going to challenge them. What do you mean it's going to take 4 days? Are you going to use a 2-in-1? Are you going to use the sprayers? Like, you start asking them questions. And they're like, this guy's on me. This guy actually knows. So if they're trying to burn you, they're just going to run away. If they're legitimate, they'll step up. And even if they're not like fully at the level, then you can just negotiate them down on pricing. And just like, look, I'll give you 125 a day. It's the best I can do. And they know that they're worth it. They're only worth 125 a day anyway, based upon their own answers to the questions. They already know. They already know. Juber said, thanks, Uncle G. Money is not the issue. Knowledge is. Definitely. Knowledge is the issue. Money is not an issue in this game. That's the funny part about the game. And the funny part about a lot of our roadblocks. Most people, 90% of people believe they can't get in real estate because they don't have enough cash or credit. Maybe 95% of the people who aren't in real estate believe, Brian, I can't get in real estate because I don't have enough cash or credit. And it's an insurmountable problem. And then I tell them, no, there's creative financing. There's other ways to invest. There's transactional funding. There's 100% lenders. There's this, that, and a third. And I know part of them doesn't even believe it. They think it's like a sales pitch. They think it's a sales pitch. They're just like, no, that stuff doesn't exist. There aren't people doing this. And then I have other mentees who are out doing it, making the phone calls, talking to the people, structuring the deals, getting it done. Like, it's happening all the time. I got another text today. I'm not even sure. I got to get back to one text. They were talking about how they got a deal subject to, and they're trying to do XYZ with it. I mean, these deals are happening every day right under your nose. You just need to get to the knowledge and stop staying stuck in worry land, worrying about your roadblocks. You can worry about your roadblocks, or you can pick up your stuff, put your shoes on, and walk around them. Walk around them. And then where will you be without your worries and without your roadblocks? Then who will you be? Maybe an action taker. Maybe somebody who just goes out and takes actions and gets results. But life is short, guys. Life is so short. You look up and it's like, if you don't make a move, you're going to be stuck in a 9-to-5 forever. You'll be stuck in a 9-to-5 forever. For real. Most people, 90%, can never retire. 90%. That's the way that this game is set up for us. 90% will never retire. 35% will live off of their children and their friends to even support their last years. Not even last year. Some of us, that's supporting the last 30 years because people are living longer. So there's just like, you got to take a bet on yourself. Some people will let even $500 hold them back from getting knowledge. $500, I'm not going to do that. I'm not taking that risk. I don't trust nobody. I ain't trusting nobody. And it's like, you don't trust you. Let's keep it real. You don't trust you. You don't trust that you're going to do anything with the knowledge yet, because you haven't looked yourself in the mirror and answered those questions yet. Am I going to keep talking about it, or am I going to do it for real, for real? Answer that question for yourself. Don't call me. Answer that question for you. Then call me. Call me when you answer yes to that question. You say, I'm doing this no matter what, because I can't stay stuck. Once you come to that point in your life, you have all the motivation. You've already crossed the threshold. It's like when you leave the house and you go so far that you realize, like, oh, I left something back at the house. Should I turn around to get it? No, I went too far. It's like going to that point with the real estate. Like, no, I went too far. I'm not going back. I'm not going back mentally to just be like the 9-to-5 warrior. I'm done with that. I'm going to the real estate path. Okay, cool. Now that you're there, are you going to get burned to figure this out, or are you going to get educated? End of story. Like those are your two options. There's no third option. So it's just about getting that, but you have to trust. You have to make the decision first. Nobody's going to make it for you. A lot of people are kind of running around waiting to be inspired by somebody, which is why the guys stand in front of the Lamborghinis. Because if they can't inspire you, the Lamborghini can. Right? They just point to the Lamborghini. You see this? And you're like, yeah, I want that. Okay, cool. So they just give you a little carrot. It's just a stick and a carrot. But if you can internally motivate yourself and then have the intelligence to seek out the education will unlock those doors for you. It will unlock the opportunities for you to at least get a couple of deals. And that's all it takes to get bit by the real estate bug and get to the next level. So we need that subject 3 system. Definitely. You do need that subject 3 system. That subject 3 system, when I first got exposed to that system, I had to run it back. I was like, wait, I need to see that again. That system is crazy. One of the craziest systems. And the funny part is, it's when I saw the system, it immediately triggered me to what I had seen, because I had seen the system being executed on Craigslist years ago, and I was like, oh, that's what they were doing. It just clicked in right in. Oh, that was the system I saw. So it wasn't even like a system. It was something that I saw. It was already being implemented. People were already doing it as I was learning exactly why they were setting it up in this way, because it didn't make sense to me. And that's how real estate can be. The more you learn, the more it all kind of clicks in. So now I was like, oh, this thing is powerful. This thing is powerful in terms of a system. And when they started running the numbers and showing me how many bodies, like they could get 50 to 100 bodies a week into a property, like a week, with this system, and it's completely turnkey, and one virtual assistant can manage it. And I was just like, man, this is insane. This is insane. But systems really get you there. Systems really get you there, man. Systems get you there fast. And that's the other thing that you are investing in with real estate mentorship. It's not just the education and the know-how, but it's the systems. You are getting just battle-tested, expert level systems. Boom, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. And if anybody takes those systems and implements them, they're going to win. Anybody, not just you. And you're not special to be able to take them and try to implement them and lose. You're not that special. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. You're not the special unicorn who's going to take a world-class winning system and lose with it. I know we like to be the star of our own drama. It's not true. You're just not going to go there. So that's kind of that, guys. That's kind of that on that rant. Why do you think it's easier to do subject to commercial deals versus residential properties? Because commercial landlords are in the business. Why do you get into commercial real estate? To make cash flow, period. To make cash flow, period. So, and a commercial level investor is naturally more sophisticated than a residential investor, right? Most of the time, right? Law averages, right? So when you're talking to a more sophisticated investor with more knowledge, who's in it for cash flow, who doesn't like taxes, because they're playing at a bigger level. If they sell you that asset outright, they're going to get a huge tax bill, a huge capital gain, $2 million. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to pay $1 million. I'm going to pay $600K in capital gains tax. Or we can structure it this way. We can do some type of premium over the rent. I'll take over the existing debt. We'll get you some cash flow out of this. You don't have a big tax bill. It's a lot easier to have the conversation versus somebody who has only bought one house in their life. Now they're in foreclosure and they've never sold a property before. They have no idea what creative financing is. They don't know anything about real estate at all. And you're sitting across the table from them, trying to educate them. It's a different sale. It's not that you can't do it and can't educate them, but you have to get educated at a higher level so that your confidence is pouring out of you. So that you're just like, look, this is what we're going to do. This is why it's good for you. Boom, 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 boom. Done deal. So it's just a matter of understanding what is important to the other side. What's important to the seller? What's important to a commercial guy? A lot of us, when we're newer to real estate and we're getting in, everybody's talking to you about you, including me. So I'm guilty of it. And you're thinking about yourself. So it's like, so why do you want real estate? What's motivating you? Well, my family and my kids, and I'm tired of this and that. And it's like, that's all good. But when you get into this creative financing game, it's not about you anymore. It's about them. It's about how you solve the seller's problems. Here's how I'm going to solve your problems. Here's why this is better for your taxes. Here's why this is better for your cash flow, for your equity in the property. Here's how you win. And that's all you talk about. And then they're like, okay, I can see that. I can see how I win. Now, if you won in all those ways, you wouldn't mind if I made a little bit off the deal, would you? Of course not. Of course not, Brian. I don't care if you win as long as I'm winning like that. All right, cool. Let's figure out the numbers that make this a winning deal. And it's easier to do that with commercial guys because they've been in the game longer and they're used to complex transactions and seller carrybacks and all the things that we talk about. Cedric says, it sounds like you're talking to me and only me, particularly when you mentioned never being able to retire. Trust me, I wish I was talking to just you, but I am not. This is the position 90% of us are in or more, is unable to retire, unable to stop working a 9 to 5, unable to live the lifestyle we want to live, unable to spend the time with our children, unable to focus on our own health and work out. So many people are atrophying at a desk. I was one of them. Right? But I decided I would rather fail. I'd rather just completely face plant in this game and wipe out than stay stuck in a 9 to 5. It just is like, I'm not doing it. I don't even care about them. It wasn't even about the money for me. Like, oh, I got to make more money. Let me get. No, I need freedom. I need that freedom. I need to be able to wake up and go work out and have control over my income. If having control over my income means some years I ain't make that much and some years I made a whole lot, I'll take it. I'm going to take the good, the bad, whatever it comes with that freedom. But I got to get that freedom first and foremost. I got to have it. I have to have control over my life and how I spend time raising my kids and with my family. Like, I got to have it. So it was not an option for me. It's not an option. And there are guys like me who have to be the guinea pig so that people like everyone watching right now can learn from all the mistakes that I've had to go through, all of the drama, and you guys are still getting benefit from it by the day. And that just is what it is. But I'm not just talking to you. There's a lot. I'm talking to the majority of us, unfortunately, because I'm the guy on the phone, with hundreds of people every month who are saying the same things, dealing with the same issues. And some people are able and at a position where they're like, I'm ready to change my life. Let me tap into the mentorship. And some people are like, no, I can't, I'm not ready, or they don't believe in themselves, or whatever it is. They can't get over their roadblock yet. Or they're stuck on, who do I trust, or how do I know this is real, or da 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 da, or should I just take my money and invest it? Or everybody's got these issues they got to get past. They think, oh, I only got 15,000 now, so if I got to put this straight into a deal now, and it's like, that's so scarcity mindset. That's so scarcity mindset. It's so scarcity mindset, and it's like, you're gonna get burned. I wish I could save everybody, but I can't. I look at it and say, if you think do you think the contractor cares? You can tell me all you want. I only got this 15K. I got to get into the deal. Go to the contractor and say, I only got this 15K. You can't burn me. And they're going to say, they're going to burn you. Like, they're still going to take your money. And then you're going to have no money, and they're going to go off with it. You won't even have enough money to sue them. Like, that's the game. Nobody cares. The only person who really cares is somebody like me, who's actually going to take the time and spend it with you one-on-one to educate you, to get you there, to make sure you're not getting burned, and all these different things. But these guys, once you get out into this game, I'm the parent on the sideline. It's like I put you in a football game, and I'm like, You got to run the play and protect your neck out there. If you get cracked, you're like, I'm gonna try to help you up and let's dust it off and get back to the next play. But once you guys get out in that game, you're playing in a real game, and you can get leveled out there. And if you're not tapped in at a level where I can help you, then I just can't help you. You can't call me after you get burned. I mean, you can, but you're gonna still be burned. There's nothing you could do. There's no HR department. There's nobody who's gonna come to your rescue. It's just over for you. So the less money you're starting with, the first thing to invest in is always yourself. Doesn't matter. If you have $50,000, Brian, what should I do? Invest in your education. I got $10,000. What should I do? Invest in your education. Period. That's the way to get ahead. If you want to get ahead without pain, invest in your education. If you want to experience massive amounts of pain, then go out and experience it. And you're still not going to get what you want out of this game. There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. There ain't no shortcut in this game. If there is a shortcut, it is mentorship. If there is a shortcut, it's getting educated faster than the competition. But even that requires some degree of investment, foresight, and just being internally motivated and answering that question. No, understanding, in order to truly invest in your education, you have to understand the consequence of not doing it. And so many of us don't understand that consequence because we just think we can avoid it. We think it's as easy as saying, no, I don't want to pay. I don't want to get burned. No. And it's like, you can't tell a contractor no. It's just going to burn you and take your money. These guys don't care at all. What's the average interest rate on creative financing loans? There is no average because you can structure your own loans when it comes to creative financing. So you can create loans. You can create a mortgage. So you can say, look, this is a 0% loan. We're going to do it in installment payments over X amount of years with a balloon in year 10. Done. You can structure these things however you want. There are no interest rates, and that's the beautiful part. You're too tall to be sitting down for anyone. Facts. 6'7" guys sitting in a suit, atrophying. Go down from 230, lose all your muscle. Now you're 215, 212. Trying to listen to your boss. But then you feel smarter than your boss because you know what you're meant to do. So now you're stuck. Now you're pretending. Now you're always on edge. It's just, it's not that there's anything wrong with the 9 to 5, but most of us were meant to do more. And in America, wealth is built through real estate. So if you lack knowledge of real estate, you lack knowledge of how to build wealth. So you're not doing your family a service. That's the truth. You're not doing your family a service because if you don't know anything about wealth, then what are your kids going to know? So are you just trying to have generation after generation after generation who just works for other people, knows nothing about how to build wealth, lasting generational wealth, how to pass down assets from one generation to the next so that there's some degree of a head start? And are you just going to keep blaming? Who are you going to keep blaming for that? Who are you going to keep blaming for that issue if not you? If you're the one that's an adult that is at this point in space-time reality where you can actually tap into the knowledge for pennies on the dollar, for peanuts of what it actually costs to get the knowledge. Because it cost me over $1 million to get the knowledge. Nobody paid $1 million to get into the VIP mentorship program. Nobody even paid 1% of $1 million. Oh, well, nobody even paid, 1%, 2%, 3% of $1 million to get into the VIP mentorship program. So at what point, like if you can get $1 million worth of game for less than a point, less than 1%, it's just like, whose fault is it? You got, like, who are you blaming? The system? The man? Like, what are you blaming for not getting knowledge of real estate when that's how you build wealth in America? Period. You got to go get it. It should be really by any means necessary. But if you're not there, then you're not there. It's not everybody's against you. It's not necessarily even the mindset of you don't know who to trust. You know, it's not that you don't know who to trust. You know who you don't trust. You don't trust you yet. You don't trust your intuition. You don't trust your judgment. You don't trust that you're going to get out of this learning mode and into action. You don't trust you yet. Therefore, you're not ready to invest in your education because you don't know that you're going to do anything with your education. The reality, though, on the bright side of that, is you can't not benefit from a real estate education. You can't not benefit from a real estate education because you're all living somewhere and you're going to buy houses. You're going to be dealing with houses. You're going to be renting houses. You're going to deal with it left and right. So no matter what, a real estate education is going to pay dividends. Even if you're rent to owning somewhere, or you buy your first house just to live in, and then something breaks, you wish you had a real estate education. The mentorship program could pay for your own house repair. Just knowing what you're doing and not getting burned by contractors, you're going to save probably in a lifetime 100K just in not getting burned, even if you were just buying a house to live in yourself. Dame, for subject 3, do the tenants have to be market rate people, or is it possible to do section 8? For subject 3, it's a little bit of a different strategy. If you want to truly do subject 3, I believe there is a wrinkle where you could do it with a section 8 person, but you wouldn't want to. It would be too slow. The problem with section 8 is it's too slow. So it's not that you need them to be market rate, but you would want to find somebody who is looking more for like a rent to own type of situation. If you can find that, and an abundance of them, which there's a bazillion people out there who are looking for that, and then have the right system to get them to the property very quickly and get this thing turned within a 30-day period, you can execute on subject 3. We'll get into it. We'll get into subject 3, but only for the VIP people. I'm going to reserve that system because that system barely even exists on the freaking internet, guys. Like, it doesn't even exist. There's like nobody teaching this stuff. Guys, if you got value so far, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe, share the content with somebody else that you think will get value as well. Click the links in the description to tap into free real estate trainings. Definitely reach out about the ride along as well, because that's filling up, and we only have a few seats left for this January 13th ride along. So make sure you guys reach out. That's an easy way to get a ton of game and lifetime access to course content, where you'll get access to this stuff about subject 3 as well. Maybe I should patent myself the subject 3 guy. Oh, look at that. I just got a text. An offer was accepted. The guy's like, I ain't dropping my offer. I'm not. And I was just like, we ain't taking it. They just accepted it. I hate being right and I love being right. I hate being right and I love being right. The tired mommy, it's a funny name to say out loud at least. Are the interest rates for commercial properties cheaper than residential? No, not really. But just from a creative financing standpoint, you can structure differently. The commercial deals, I won't say that across the boards though, because there are some that deal, by the way, and I'll get back to the commercial. That deal that just got accepted under contract, that's for a boots on the ground member. This guy is an amazing story. I might have to bring him on. Now he got his first deal under contract to the boots on the ground program. I might have to bring him on to kind of talk about it. He's a faith-based guy. One of the reasons I love this guy, faith-based, as am I, and family-based, family-focused, and he's just the definition of positive thought, and just being great, waking up and just being grateful. Like, this guy is just grateful for whatever opportunity is given to him, and he just sticks with it. Like, he's just his energy. I try to tell people real estate rewards you for being loyal to it, for being committed to it, and he just commits. So it's like I already know he's going to be a successful person within this game. But it's congratulations for him. I'm just a facilitator for my people at the end of the day. It's hard for me to get excited about real estate, although there's some stuff that we're going to unroll for you guys in 2024, that some cash flow opportunities that are going to blow you away. Things you never heard of, that are going to really shock you. like the amount of cash flow you can make from one property. But I'm not going to reveal that yet. Are the interest rates for commercial? No, you can structure commercial deals um, pretty easily, I think, on the creative financing side for reasons we talked about. If you're doing commercial residential, so like a 50 unit apartment building, and you're doing things like affordable housing or some of those different things, then there are ways where that can get very affordable for you, because you can get like the Fannie Freddie loans, and those rates will be a lot cheaper, and they'll give you like 90% loan to cost refinances and stuff where you can pull all of your money out of those deals. So the financing parameters do change commercially, but they typically just have different rates. They usually will do like a 30-year amortization on a 10-year cycle with a balloon payment at the end of 10 years. So most of these commercial loans, you have to refinance them, restructure them every 10 years, every decade, which can be bad news for like some of the commercial deals that are coming due now at that 10-year period, and then rates are crazy high. Like that just collapsed a lot of them. This is what happened to the office space industry when a lot of those notes came due, and then it was like, yo, nobody's going to the office. Rents are down. They got crushed because the rents dropped dramatically for like the first time in 100 years, and there was no way to do anything with those deals. Like they were just kind of screwed. So that can happen, guys. That can definitely happen within this space. Um, Let me see if there's anything else I want to touch on. We've been going for a little while now. Any more questions you guys can drop in. We got the top 10 up and coming cities to invest in. Maybe I can touch on a couple of these quickly. Just some cities that are going to be good to invest in if you're in and around any of these cities. Let me get rid of this tire mummy. What cities do we have? Chicago. There's a lot of opportunity in Chicago. There's definitely a hood in Chicago. But there's a lot of good parts of Chicago, guys. There's a lot of good pockets and outskirts, and there's a lot of money that can be made there. There's some cheap properties. It's really up and coming, and you're going to see a tidal wave of money flowing into the Chicago, the Indiana market, Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Georgia. These are all good kind of buy and hold markets as well. You can do some co-living out here as well for those who are interested in that. Myrtle Beach, Conway, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. These are good markets for vacation rentals. So you can do like short-term rentals and stuff there, midterm rentals. People who are just trying to get away for the summer. You can do a lot of different short-term renting there. And there's good cash flow, there's good flip opportunities. Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Texas. Lots of opportunity out there. Lots of opportunity. My brother actually got a deal in Arlington for his first property. And I mean, it just made a killing. Just made an absolute killing off of that deal. I don't think anybody made more on their first deal than my brother did. And I'm happy for that. I'm very happy for that. And I think another good market, Memphis, Tennessee is a good market. Very underpriced real estate in Memphis, and you can get some good deals. Charlotte, North Carolina, good markets there. There's just good markets all over the country. I mean, people ask me this all the time. They're like, Brian, like, where are you located and where do you invest? And I'm like, look, I got mentees in all I say all 50 states. We don't have anybody in Alaska, but everywhere else we do. So we got mentees from all 50 states, even outside of the country. And I get to see the real estate everywhere, kind of work with you guys everywhere. And there's good opportunities everywhere. There's money to be made everywhere. So these are some of the top markets to watch. There's also the Rust Belt, Ohio, Pittsburgh. Some of these markets are really good markets that you can tap into and make a lot of money. So keep an eye on those Northeast markets as well. Rochester, New York, like upstate New York. There's some good cash flow markets there where you can get, in Rochester, you can get big 5-6 unit buildings for 200,000, 300,000. 6 unit building, 7 unit building. You're not going to be able to do that forever. So there are some markets that you need to keep your eye on and stay, tapped into as these fluctuations are taking place. Rates are going to go down. So if you're sitting on the sideline waiting, making excuses, whatever, rates are going to go down, prices are going to go up. So you're either going to get in and get some deals going, or you're going to eventually get put so far behind, not only you, but generations of your offspring, that they won't have the opportunity to get into the game. It's just going to be a renter's nation. So you gotta tap in. Reason I asked because I noticed a surge in party venues in my area, and they're making bank. I figured I'd start with that rather than residential. Possibly. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. That's all I'll say. Because if you're seeing a bunch of people and they're doing the party venues, eventually it's going to get saturated. Then you're not making bank. The thing that you will respect about residential is it's safe, it's secure, it's an easy way to make cash flow, and it'll continue to appreciate long term. Commercial spaces, I would rather see you get a mixed use building with a commercial first floor and then have apartments above it so that you get a bit of the best of both worlds. But if you go all in on commercial and the market changes, you're going to get banged up really bad because you're not going to have a secondary use for that asset. So just be careful, do your research. Don't just do something because people are making bank right now. It's not how good you're doing, it's how long you're doing good. It's not how good you're doing, it's how long you're doing good. So you want to pick strategies that will do good for a long time. You have to spend time on the long game, or you'll be doing great right now, like everybody else. A lot of people come to me from the trucking business. Oh, the trucking business, the trucking business. Who heard about the trucking business back in, what was it, 2020, 2021? Oh, the trucking. Everybody's doing trucking, trucking, trucking. I just talked to somebody today. Like, I think they said they were bringing in 30 grand a month, and their expenses were 25, 27,000 a month on the trucking. Like, they're barely getting by, and they're managing a lot of volume. Now, if one of the trucks breaks down, boom, there goes their profit. And it's like, you gotta, because that business model changed. A lot of people jumped in, business model changed. Now it's not as good. And people are saying that trucking is better than real estate. It's real estate on wheels. Ain't no real estate on wheels. It's just real estate. So you just have to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt. I've been seeing some crazy cash flow in North New Jersey, but do you think it's still worth it since property tax is so high? It can be. We have one of my mentees. He's actually working on a off market deal right now out in Patterson, and I'm trying to get out there. Once he gets back to me with the time where we can get in to see that property, I'm probably going to drive out and meet him at the property and walk through the deal with him. Maybe we'll shoot some footage of that, show you guys that. But that'll be cool to meet up with one of the mentees and kind of walk a property with him to help with the education process and evaluate it. So there are deals out there. There are markets out there where you can make money in North Jersey. You do have to watch the property taxes. You can try to abate the taxes. You can try to get the taxes reassessed. There's different strategies that we can talk about. They are high, but it's all relative. Property taxes and them being high is relative to the rents and what you can generate off of the asset. So it's all relative. Charlotte is expensive. Buy on the outskirts. Buy on the outskirts. So find where the real estate is expensive. That means there are really good comps there. Then get a half mile out, buy there, and then let the value get swept up into your area. So it's great that you know where the expensive real estate is. Now you need to find, how far do I have to get away from that expensive real estate for it to get inexpensive, to where I can buy it for 200,000 and it's worth 400,000. I have a 200,000 spread. So if I can build at 100,000, which 100,000 is a lot for a residential property, you can do a lot with it. Now I can make some money. So it's good that you know where the expensive real estate is. Now what you need to learn is, where's the less expensive real estate that is the closest to that area, and that's where your money is. That's where the gold is. Is Rochester, New York, landlord friendly or tenant friendly? New York in general is tenant friendly. So just always keep that in mind. New York in general is tenant friendly. The only place more tenant friendly is California. And I wouldn't even call that tenant friendly. I don't even know what to call that. I'm not even going to speak on that actually. That's a good idea, and we'll do. Um, I'm from Chicago. There's lots of opportunities here with single and multifamily, short and midterm rentals. Lots of opportunity. So much opportunity. So because you guys don't, some of us, we don't really know how to, I would say most of us don't know how to analyze deals at a professional level. So people ask me that, well, Brian, if I'm in Atlanta and you're in New York or Philly, can you help me in Atlanta? And it's like, well, I know how to analyze deals. So it doesn't matter if that deal is in Honolulu. I can analyze it. I can pull the rents, I can pull the taxes, I can pull the mortgage, I can pull all the information to see if this deal is profitable. And I can look at it, square footage, the condition, and know exactly how much it costs to build it and exactly how long it takes to build it. So I can tell if it's profitable, period. Doesn't matter where it's at. So no, having that skill set and ability that I can teach anybody who wants to learn it, quite frankly. And then you'll have it. But having that skill set, I could look at Chicago and say, Chicago got a lot of opportunity because of the price they're selling properties at and the condition that they're in. So they're selling them at a lower value than they should be based upon the condition and based upon what similar properties in similar condition are selling at in other cities at similar rents. So I have that information. So I can look at a property in Chicago that's a townhome and say, this same townhome in Philly would sell for $80,000 more. Not because it rents for tremendously much more. It might not rent for more at all. It's just going to sell for $80,000 more because it's in Philly versus here. And when you see that mismatch, you could say, well, the people who are in this market are going to eat once they learn the skills and know what they're doing. They're going to eat like kings. So you just got to stay tapped in. Homeless friendly is definitely homeless friendly. They definitely are. California is definitely homeless friendly. I mean, they definitely want to solve that problem, but I think they do a lot to take advantage of landlords in California. It's not really fair to landlords or free. What is a free market? They treat it as if it's just like their market to do whatever they want with, and it's not. It's supposed to be a free market. They're not doing a lot to help the landlords. They're just kind of making them pay for their lack of solutions. But I'll digress. I won't get too far into that. But I would not be a buy and hold investor in California anytime soon. Not under this administration that's currently running California. I would wait it out a little bit, just to be on the safe side. So guys, hope this helped. Make sure you reach out to tap in. On the Boots on the Ground program where we build houses for you. Like I said, we just got a deal under contract, which is amazing for a great guy. A guy that I think really deserves it. So we got a good deal under contract. It's great, phenomenal. We have the ride along coming up. And this is a guy who tapped into the ride along and was like, I get it. I'm ready to go. Boom, boots on the ground. Boom, got a deal. We got the boots on the ground coming up January 13th. That's going to be fire. The one-on-one mentorship program is open. We're still taking on people, but I have less and less time to work with, less and less people. So highly selective on who we allow into the mentorship program. If you get offered a seat, take it. Get in while the price is the price, because the prices keep going up. Inflation keeps going up. And as my time gets constrained, I can only work with so many people. The price will naturally just get higher, unfortunately. And people get weeded out of the process that way. So definitely, if you're getting offered a reasonable price on one-on-one mentorship, take it, lock in, and do this for your family. Do this for your last name, not your first. Understand that you have an opportunity to change your family's trajectory, regardless of how many deals you do now, regardless of if you make all your money back off of the cost of mentorship. You just take the information and learn it. Not only are you going to make your money tenfold, but you can teach that information to your children, more importantly, and then they don't have to work for somebody for their entire life. And then your entire generations will have this knowledge kind of floating around within the family, and that will uplift your family more than anything you can do. Certainly more than you working more overtime, getting another job, or staying stuck in a 9 to 5. So bet on yourself and make that decision. Remember those 2 questions. Am I going to go all in on real estate? Am I going to take action? Yes or no? Ask yourself that question in your own mirror by yourself and answer it for yourself. If you ain't ready, then you ain't ready. Don't call anybody. Don't reach out about mentorship or anything if you're not ready to take action yet. And then once you're ready to take action, are you going to do it the easier way or the harder way? You answer those questions for yourself. Don't try to make other people answer those questions for you, because they can't. It's still going to come down to you. No matter what anybody says, no matter the price. Somebody could say, I'll give you one-on-one mentorship for $97. And somebody will still say, oh, why won't you do it for free? Like, people are going to come up with whatever, because it's not about the money. It's about them. It's about the person. And they know that they're not ready to take action, and they're not going to do anything with the knowledge anyway. They know that they're wasting their own time. So they're just not ready yet. But don't waste the time. Life is very short. You don't have time to waste. If you want to stay stuck, stay stuck. Nobody's going to really say anything to you in this world. Just stay stuck. The world needs more sheep. The office needs more employees. It needs more employees. So go be one of them. If you want to be one of us, then come be one of us and take action. And that's all I can tell you. Hope this helped, guys. Stay locked in. We'll run a couple more of these before the new year, and then we'll take the time with family. But stay locked in. Reach out to me about those different programs. Now's a good time to start in the Boots on the Ground program as well. I know a couple of you have been on the sidelines and like, hey, I want to start up in December. We have a couple spots open because we have a couple more people wrap up deals for the year. So definitely, if you want to tap in, reach out, tap in. Just a couple spots open. They might fill up in the next week, realistically. So we don't know. So reach out while you can. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, signing off.